Hello and welcome to the Perth Blue Baggers pod. My name is Louis, your host.
And I'm Marty on special comments.
Today we'll be reviewing a very disappointing loss to Hawthorn. Absolute 64-point drubbing, which was not ideal, that's for sure. And then we'll be doing a preview of a massive clash with our arch enemies, the Collingwood Magpies. So let's get straight into it. What did you make of that game?
Well, this was the match where Carlton were brought back to earth, exposed for not being the team that perhaps we would hope they were. After 7 straight wins, we just never looked in the hunt this game. We're smashed by a Hawthorn team that clearly was a class above us and more hungrier. And look, to be honest, I thought the scoreline flattered us at the end of the first quarter when we only trailed by 2 points. A miracle kick by the debutant Flynn Riley just before the end of the quarter meant that the score was close, actually, and the poor weather perhaps kept it closer than otherwise should have been, because they certainly dominated us in general play, even in that first quarter. The wet weather, by the way, should have really suited us, but we just weren't clean and we didn't do the basics for the conditions. Things like marking on your chest, keeping the ball in front of you, perhaps being a little bit less ambitious when picking a wet ball off a wet deck. Look, the number of times when we ran over the ball without picking it up, I mean, come on.
Just absolute fundamentals gone wrong.
Yeah, I mean, that's the kind of stuff at this level you expect them to do, and you just be a bit more circumspect. Look, their class really started to come through in the second when they kicked 3 goals to none to lead by 20 points. But we've been down by similar margins before and fought back. But just the boys didn't seem to have it in them this time, really. And then the second half was really poor. We conceded 5 goals in each of the quarters, 10 goals for the half, and scored very little ourselves. So, I mean, I reckon you'd probably find very few Carlton players that could honestly say they beat their opponents. Look, there were a few. We'll come to those, but not a lot, were there?
No, very slim pickings, measly, to say the least. I want to go for a stat here. Carlton's 9 scoring shots in their 6 goals free 39 was the lowest amount of scoring shots they've had in a game since 1965. They've registered 7 shots in a final when they registered 7 shots in a final score of 5 goals to 32. So prior to that, you have to go back to 1918 for the last time the Blues registered 9 or less scoring shots in the game. And Will Hayward was our only player on the ground to register more than 2 score involvements with 3. So not only were we unable to win at the contest, we were completely unable to score. 60-year low. How abysmal is that?
Look, I think that says but just how comprehensively we're outplayed. Actually, if you look at the number of times we went inside 50, we did go inside 50 quite a bit. I mean, they still won that stat comfortably, but the lack of scoring actually was a real indictment given how often we went inside 50. We should have done a bit better than we did. Like, it was 45 to 57 inside 50s, right? When you go 45 inside 50s, you only score, not even a goal, you only score 9 times. That's a pretty damning stat. So if you look at the efficiency inside 50, it was at 27%. Compared to 65% for them. I mean, it's a massive discrepancy, and really does speak the fact that our forwards got completely dominated, and the number of tackles inside 50, we got outplayed by that, despite the ball being inside their 50 more than ours. So that forward pressure wasn't there either. So there's a lot of things that were down.
And surely you'd expect pressure in such a contest-heavy, wet game like that. Look, to be fair, they laid 20 plus tackles, I think. Something like 98 tackles, I think it was, which is good, but not the forward pressure where it counts, not the tackles inside 50 where it counts.
Yeah, so we won the tackle count 98 to 78, and that's a good thing. But we lost the tackle count inside 50, which shows that, just as you said, we weren't tackling when it really mattered. and that, I think our forwards were not. I mean, I would single out Frankie Evans. I think he was still pretty good in his pressure, but there wasn't a lot of mates, I've got to say.
Yeah. So that was quite a few damning stats here. Minus 57 disposals overall, minus 12 inside 50s, 13% goal efficiency compared to their 26%, minus 12 clearances, which meant to be our strength, didn't happen. Minus 24 contested possessions, meant to be our strength, didn't happen. Conceded 13 marks in defensive 50 as well.
Yeah.
That's not good. So quite numerous statistics that really show that we were not on song on Saturday.
Well, do you know what the 1%er breakdown was? 1%ers, 52 to 28. Well, that says a lot, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But the effort, and that's what I mean. Not just better than us, not just classier than us, which you would accept. Okay, they're a very good team, but hungrier than us. That's what that tells me.
Yeah, I think going into this game, we did think that we'd probably struggle to win the game, get the 4 points here, but just by the way we lost and by the size of the margin, I think it's really quite frustrating.
That'll be the disappointing thing, and this was always going to be a tough match, but to lose by that much, by over 10 goals in the wet, in conditions where it's hard to score. God, what would it have been like if it was dry weather?
Yeah, and I think they really started to capitalise once it got more dry in the second half, right? So the first half could have been much worse, and and if they were more accurate as well, could have really faced the end of the season.
Yeah, as it was, I think that's a bad loss. Look, maybe it was timely to have a loss now to recuperate. It wasn't a close loss, so it wasn't 4 points that we should have won that we didn't. Those sorts of things. But look, the character of the boys and the team really will be on show now. This week, I would say.
It's all about the response, and we will go into that in the preview part of this episode. Anything else to talk about from this? I think we just really need to kind of hope players brush it aside, get back to work, and really lift for a massive clash next week. That's the aim.
We played a top 4 team on the weekend, and they're way too good for us. This time, we're playing a team that is in the same sphere as us, that we're directly competing against for a spot in the top 10.
Yeah.
So this will be the ultimate litmus test.
Yeah. We'll draw on that later. But for now, we'll go into our MVP votes. They're not slim pickings, so go. What's your who gets the votes?
I thought there were a couple of players that did really play well, but only a few that really played well. For me, Carlton's best on ground, in my view, was pretty clear. Adam Chera was sensational. He was fabulous. 27 touches, 1 goal, but 14 tackles. Think of those 98 tackles, 14 of them came from one player, and well ahead of any other player on the ground, mind you.
Yeah.
He really gave it all. He was asked to play inside mid because of George Hewitt's absence. Now, we didn't mention George Hewitt until now. George Hewitt was a real shame for us, because his injury very early in the game, he is a contested ball winner who would have thrived in those conditions. And, I'm not saying explain the loss or anything, but it certainly hurt us.
Yeah.
And yet Chera stepped into that void and really gave it his all. He was huge. At 5 inside 50s as well. So this guy got a lot of the ball, but he also did a lot of work off the ball. He had quite a bit of impact, and he was head and shoulders for me above anyone else.
Yep, I've also got him for the 5 votes there. 424 meters gained, 9 ground balls, as well. And I think his 14 tackle count was one off the Carlton VFL AFL record.
Really?
Yeah.
He wasn't in the coaches' votes, which I find astonishing.
Yeah.
These guys normally quite sharp and switched on. I don't know how they missed that, but anyway.
Yeah.
Five for me. 4 for Sam Walsh.
Yeah.
He was great as well. Like I said, Terry for me was outstanding, but Sam Walsh was pretty damn good. He can hold his head high. Most touches on the ground in 35, but you'll find they were spread out across the game. Pretty consistent effort. Mostly contested positions on the ground for a guy that often does well uncontested. He's also dominated contested. He worked really hard all day, and he's another player that I was really pleased with. Like I said, not a lot of players, but Sam Walsh, was really outstanding.
Yep, agreed. I've also got him for 4 votes. 7 clearances, 13 ground balls, 427 meters gained, 23 pressure acts, and 6 intercepts. So he's getting back to help the defense as well. 3 votes.
3 votes for me went to Nick Newman. Newman was great. He worked very hard. 517 meters gained, most of the team by a fair margin. 27 touches at 78%. So he was efficient. He did work hard. He had 8 intercepts as well. So he's not just getting the easy touches. He's reading the play well. He's rebuffing attacks quite effectively. So I also thought he had a really good game.
Yep, I've also gone for the 3. So now we probably go into the slim sort of pickings now. Who's your 2 votes?
Yeah, so they were the 3 outstanding, and I would say probably a fair way above anyone else.
Yeah.
And I think that there was a few others that you could say, look, did disgrace themselves, put in effort and whatever else, and we're in the mix. But it was slimmer pickings after those first 3. I've gone for 2. I've gone for Matty Cottrell.
Okay. Yeah.
His pressure acts was one of the highest in the team. I think at 24, well above quite a few of his teammates. He had 8 tackles as well, which is something I'm looking for in a team that's struggling. Who's doing the work off the ball. So he's done a lot of pressure acts, a lot of off the ball work. That says to me that he is working hard to get back at a time with. You look at some of those goals unfolding, the usual story there, when not enough of our blokes working hard enough. And all this shows that, Cotters has worked pretty hard and put his nose under it. So I've given him 2.
Yep.
But, I mean, it could have gone to a few guys, I guess, as well. And, look, this guy wasn't his best, but he was still pretty good, I guess. Gavin Petticoat's one.
Okay.
He again had the 9 tackles, which was pretty good, and quite a few the contested ball as well. Like I said, it wasn't quite his usual efficiency, but still a pretty serviceable game.
Yeah. Okay. I've gone 2 votes for Evans due to his sheer effort. 19 disposals, 10 contested possessions, 7 tackles, 21 pressure acts, 3 inside 50s, and 5 ground balls. And
it's pretty good. Pretty good.
McGovern for my last vote because he was the only one that looked to be a threat aerially. So 12 disposals, 7 marks, 3 marks inside 50, 2 goals, and 4 inside 50s.
Yeah, well, like I said, the last 2 you got to throw throw a blanket over them. I didn't think there was a lot of guys outside those top 3 that had a really big impact on the game. I think the ones that you picked out, I think probably you'd say Nick Haynes was pretty serviceable too. I think if the other guy had 7 intercepts, a fair bit of work off the ball as well. But, I mean, I also thought Evans, it was notable. But, it was pretty thin pickings after that.
Yeah. I think Billy Wilson was still pretty good. 16 disposals, 6 tackles, 6 intercepts, 323 meters gained, 5 rebound 50s, 5 ground balls, and 23 pressure acts.
Yeah. Look, he was pretty good. I just think, the part that worries me a little bit with our defence is just how easily they scored, even in fairly poor conditions.
Yeah.
So I probably didn't think our defence overall was as strong as it should have been.
Yeah. Jagger, serviceable, 20 disposals, 6 tackles, 85% disposal efficiency, 25 pressure acts, and 8 ground balls. I think he had a strong first quarter, but wasn't as good in the next 3. One more, Will Hayward, 18 disposals, 10 contested possessions, again, team high free score involvements, two of which were goal assists. So 2 goal assists, 7 intercepts, and 14 pressure acts. So I don't think you can fault his effort in his 200th game either.
No. Well, he's a very consistent player. So yeah. Look, I think it probably outside those top 3, there was probably another 4 or 5 that you give them a pass grade.
Yeah.
But overall, you can't say it was a great performance.
Terrible overall team performance there. Not only a couple of names in each sort of sector. So yeah, work to do in that regard as well. So we need more of a team performance next week. So with that comes in mind, we make a preview of round, is it 19 now? Jeez, it's gone fast. Against Collingwood. So obviously we hate them. Nothing should fuel this rivalry more than to get back some revenge and really respond after a disappointing week.
Yeah, this is a huge game for us. It could be season defining.
Yeah.
Because this is a team. I mean, we've got the massive rivalry with the Pies, but it's not just that. It's where we all both sit on the ladder, and if at the moment, right, they're 6 points above us, so we're not really going to catch them if they beat us. And they themselves are 8th. We're only out of the 8 on percentage of the 10. We're only out of the 10 on percentage at the moment. We'll slip a fair way behind if we lose this. So I think, it's really incumbent upon us to make a difference here and step up. And I think there's a lot of interesting questions coming into this game. What is the team going to do about Nick Dacos? Are they going to tag him? They've got to at least tag him around the stoppages, particularly in the forward 50, but generally most places. I think they might need to put more than one player on him, depending on where he's at. So it might not be the same player the whole time.
Yeah.
But I think they need to put a bit of work into him. They don't have a lot of match winners. They've got to watch out for Jordan De Goey. I think he's in reasonable form. And be careful there. Josh Dacos is getting a lot of the footy at the moment as well. So they've got a few people to watch. I don't think their forwards are outstanding. But then, our forwards, a bit of a makeshift forward line for us at the moment too. I'd really like to see Harry come into it. Harry generally under Fraser has been outstanding and has had a good renaissance, but he wasn't that good on the weekend. And he's a really important player for us. I think goes without saying without Curnow, and he's not just our best marking forward, but he's also a really influential player around the ground. So I'd really like to see him really step up and have a big match. I think he could be that X factor potentially.
Yeah.
And a fellow I like playing that could rip the game apart is Ben Ainsworth. Let's see him step up. Let's see him have a big game. So 2 guys I'll be looking for that both probably didn't have the best game of the year this time around, but could really make a big difference if they fight back.
Yep, I hope they both do. I think that they've came off 4 wins in a row, Collingwood. So both teams coming off quite a bit of momentum, apart from our last loss. But I think they haven't played really good teams as of late. So what? Gold Coast, North Melbourne,
Yeah.
someone else, Port Adelaide or
North,
something.
yeah. So the last 4 wins, the 4 wins that everyone's getting excited about, against North Melbourne, Gold Coast, with the wheels falling off them completely, Richmond, and Port Adelaide. Okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'll give you the tip. None of those teams are going to be playing finals.
Yeah.
Right? They're not, and 10 of the 18 teams play finals. Probably none of those teams are going to play finals. So let's not get too excited about those 4 wins. Again, you'd probably say about most of Carlton's wins haven't been against teams playing finals. They've had a reasonably soft run into Hawthorn. Sure, we bet Geelong, and Western Bulldogs not a bad team, but we did have your Richmonds, your Essendons, your West Coasts, your Ports. We've played all those teams and won them as well. So I think that the form for both teams going in is probably reasonably similar.
Yeah.
And where we're on the ladder, reasonably similar. They're the sort of team that is around us on the ladder we would need to knock off to make the final. So really is what they might call an 8-point game, because you need to win the 4 points, but you don't want your opponent winning 4 points either.
Yeah. It always comes to this when we verse Collingwood, especially in the second game of the season. Always seems to be a momentous occasion. So plenty to like if you're a neutral as well. So I'd recommend anyone tuning in to watch this game Saturday night, prime time. It would be a great watch. One last little discussion point: selection integrity. So you can't keep this team relatively unchanged coming off a 64-point loss. What needs to change?
Yeah, really good question. So I think there's probably a couple of players. It's never about one game. So who are those players that haven't been performing really well for a few weeks now? They're the ones that need to be in the gun. I'm also looking for the players that, and it's always a little bit difficult when you're watching, you're not actually at the game. What's the defensive running been like? I tell you, a lot of those goals, there were a lot more Hawthorn players running onto the footy than there were Carlton players getting back. Yeah. And that's a bit of a drop-off from previous weeks. So what's going on there? Who's putting in and who's not?
Yeah.
And that's what I'm really interested in as well. So, someone like Akers, who normally runs both ways, he was a bit stiff to be dropped, and he's performed again pretty well in the VFL. So does he get another crack? He probably deserves another crack, to be honest.
And I think Ollie Hollands is in he's becoming the whipping boy, right? I think the coach would know that there would be a bit of uproar if he keeps his spot. I think a lot of fans do seem to make a big deal over it. I'm sure he turns it over a bit, but I think there's worse team issues than that going on.
Yeah, look, he often has been targeted a bit. I mean, he had just the 7 possessions, sure, it wasn't his best game. He's only been 2 games back after being out of the team for quite a while. He also, over his career, has shown an aptitude for the fight in the contest. And sometimes fans can have short memories. Last year when we weren't travelling well, I reckon he's one of those guys that gave his heart and soul. And so I've got a bit more patience for Ollie Hollands than a few other people do. I think, he's not alone in having had a poor game. There's plenty of friends as well. So I think that there's quite a few that will be in the gun. I mean, but then you can't make 7 or 8 changes. You're probably looking for 2 to 3 here, and even does someone like Flynn Riley keep his position if Pitto's fit? Those sorts of things. Probably doesn't. But I'm looking at the guys that have probably been down for a few weeks now. I mean, let's face it, our Richmond win wasn't that great, was it?
No. Ollie Hollands actually finished 7th in the last year's John Nichols medal, BNF count. So I think a lot of those votes would have came in that sort of period that you were referring to. So I think he's got it in him. He just needs to sure, like a lot of them, they all need to work on their disposal efficiency.
Well, he wasn't alone there.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's I get where people might have been frustrated with how he went on the weekend, but he wasn't alone. And I think his track record is that he fights very hard for the footy. So that's carries some weight for mine.
Yep. So we will back Ollie for now. So selection integrity, big watch that will come out Thursday night. See if there's any real big team changes. There'll probably be only about 3, but nonetheless, it will be the first time we'll have to see Fraser respond under pressure.
Well, it's not just a loss; it's a loss by more than 10 goals in wet weather.
Yeah,
when it should be hard to score. Now I know it fined up a bit in the second half, but at least the first half was pretty poor weather. And even the second half, it would have been a wet footy in a wet outfield. So for them to pile on 10 goals in the last 2 quarters was really poor. So that's what we're talking about. We're not just talking about loss to a top 4 team. We're talking about how you lose.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's putting the team under the microscope.
Yep, we completely lost the process that has been defining us across this resurgence. Now we go into our predictions. What do you reckon? How will we fare against Collingwood?
Look, I think it's going to be really tight. Carlton Collingwood battles are always really tight.
Yeah,
we should have tied the match last time round. We missed a very gettable shot of the siren, poor young Burn. But so I think our form's better than that. I know that we weren't good against Hawthorn, but we had won 7 in a row before then. And I think we find ways to win a bit better under Fraser than we did under Voss. And so I'm going to predict a very narrow win for the Pies. For the Blues, I should say. Very narrow win for the Blues over the Pies.
Yeah, I agree. Something like 3 or 4 points. Let's get some revenge and break their hearts for once. I know they say that every time we play against them, but now is the time. It's coming home.
Well, it's a good time to really stand up and be counted. And not only would we win, we'd put a dent in their final soaps. So it'd be a win and a win.
Thank you very much. Thank you for tuning in today. Hope you can, still have our spirits high. And make sure you like and subscribe.
Keep the faith.
Yeah. Yes, keep the faith. Trust the process. Make sure you follow us on Instagram, Perth Blue Baggers Pod and Carlton Flaggers 2026. It'd be much appreciated. So have a good one. Up the Baggers.
Calm the Blues.